Fatal Game, Chapter 1. The Vanishing Act. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the bustling streets of New York City. The neon lights flickered to life, adding a kaleidoscope of color to the twilight. In a sleek, modern high-rise overlooking Central Park, Alex Cross, a renowned private investigator, was buried under a mountain of case files. The low hum of the city was a distant murmur as he focused intently on his work. The peace of his evening was abruptly shattered by the insistent ring of his phone. "Cross," said a voice on the other end of the line, laced with urgency. "We have a high-priority case. Emily Turner is missing." The name struck a chord. Emily Turner was the daughter of Jonathan and Rebecca Turner, among the city's elite. Her disappearance was not just a local news story. It was a media spectacle. The pressure on the NYPD was immense, and the implications were enormous. "I'll be there," Cross replied, his mind already shifting gears. He grabbed his coat and raced down to his car, his thoughts racing with the gravity of the situation. The drive to the Turners' penthouse was quick but felt interminable. The city lights blurred by as he navigated through traffic, each red light adding to his growing anxiety. Arriving at the Turners' luxurious home, Cross was greeted by a scene of chaos. The apartment, an opulent display of wealth and sophistication, was now filled with flashing cameras and murmuring reporters. Inside, the air was thick with tension and sorrow. Jonathan and Rebecca Turner were visibly distraught, their faces etched with worry and despair. "Mr. Cross," Jonathan said, his voice cracking, "thank you for coming." Emily was supposed to return from a charity gala, but she never arrived. "We have no idea where she could be." Cross nodded, his eyes scanning the room for clues. He was led through the grand foyer to Emily's personal quarters. Her room was an exquisite blend of modern luxury and personal touch, neatly arranged with a sense of calm that was now a stark contrast to the turmoil outside. As Cross began his examination, he noted several signs of a struggle. A vase lay shattered on the floor, and papers were strewn across the desk. A faint, dark stain on the carpet caught his eye, blood, perhaps, though it was too early to confirm. His instincts told him that Emily's disappearance was more than just a random act of violence. He continued his search, meticulously combing through Emily's personal effects. Among her belongings, he discovered an intricately designed locket. The locket had a hidden compartment, and inside was a note, scrawled in hurried handwriting. "The game has begun." The message was chilling and cryptic, suggesting that Emily's disappearance was part of a larger, more sinister plot. Cross knew that this case was more complex than a simple kidnapping. The phrase, "the game has begun," implied that Emily was entangled in a scheme involving more than just her abduction. He began to piece together her recent activities, discovering that Emily had been involved in high-stakes gambling and had connections with dubious individuals. His investigation led him to a shadowy figure known only as the dealer, a name that surfaced in connection with several high-profile disappearances. The dealer was notorious for orchestrating elaborate schemes involving the wealthy elite, manipulating their lives and secrets for personal gain. Cross suspected that Emily's case was part of the dealer's larger, more dangerous game. Cross's investigation quickly intensified as he delved deeper into Emily's life. He interviewed her friends and acquaintances, each interaction revealing more about her hidden activities and relationships. It became clear that Emily was living a double life, one filled with high risks and dangerous associations. The media frenzy surrounding Emily's disappearance added another layer of pressure to Cross's investigation. As the hours ticked by, the stakes grew higher. The clues seemed to point toward a well-orchestrated scheme, and Cross had to navigate through a maze of deception and intrigue to find the truth. One significant lead was Emily's recent contact with a figure known as the dealer. This person had a reputation for manipulating the wealthy and powerful, and their involvement in Emily's disappearance was a critical piece of the puzzle. Cross learned that the dealer had been involved in similar cases, each one a move in a larger, more elaborate game. The investigation took Cross to various locations across the city, each step uncovering more about the dealer's network. He discovered a pattern of high-profile disappearances that seemed to follow a specific strategy. The more he uncovered, the more it became clear that Emily's case was part of a broader scheme involving the wealthy elite. Cross's work was not without its dangers. As he dug deeper, he encountered threats from those who wanted to protect their secrets and maintain their power. His investigation was met with resistance, and the pressure from both the media and the dealer's operatives mounted. Every move Cross made was scrutinized, and the risks were increasingly dire. Despite the obstacles, Cross remained determined to solve the case. Emily's life was at stake, and he was committed to finding her and uncovering the truth behind her disappearance. The investigation revealed a network of deceit and corruption that extended far beyond Emily's case, making the task even more challenging. The complexity of the case was compounded by the enigmatic nature of the dealer. Cross had to decipher a series of cryptic messages and clues, each one leading him closer to understanding the full extent of the dealer's plan. The game was intricate and dangerous, and Cross was determined to uncover every layer of the conspiracy. As the investigation progressed, Cross faced increasing pressure from all sides. The media continued to scrutinize every development, while the dealer's operatives sought to undermine his efforts. The stakes were higher than ever, and Cross knew that every decision he made could have life-or-death consequences. With each passing hour, the urgency of the situation grew. Cross was racing against the clock to find Emily and bring her home safely. The game had begun, and the stakes were nothing less than the lives of those involved. Chapter 2. The Secret Beneath. The night had settled over New York City, cloaking the streets in darkness. Alex Cross continued his investigation into Emily Turner's disappearance, each lead taking him deeper into a world of deception and danger. With every clue he uncovered, the complexity of the case seemed to multiply. The following morning, Cross returned to Emily Turner's penthouse, determined to piece together the remaining fragments of her life. The Turners' residence was eerily quiet, the earlier chaos replaced by a somber stillness. The media frenzy had died down, leaving only the relentless hum of the city outside. Cross decided to delve deeper into Emily's connections, focusing on her recent activities and associates. He learned that Emily had been involved in a secretive gambling ring known as the Circle. The Circle was notorious for its high stakes and even higher risks, attracting wealthy individuals who were willing to bet their fortunes on the outcome of clandestine games. Cross visited one of the Circle's known venues, a private club that catered to the elite. The club, hidden behind a facade of exclusivity, was a hub of secrecy and high-stakes gambling. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with tension, and the patrons were a mix of the city's most powerful and influential figures. The club's owner, a suave man named Victor Kane, greeted Cross with a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. Victor was known for his connections to the underworld and had a reputation for being both charming and dangerous. "Mr. Cross," Victor said with a forced smile, "what brings you to our humble establishment?" "I'm investigating the disappearance of Emily Turner," Cross replied, his gaze steady. "I understand she was involved in your gambling ring." Victor's expression shifted, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Emily Turner, you say? She was indeed a regular here. But I assure you, Mr. Cross, we run a clean establishment. Any issues outside these walls are not our concern." Cross wasn't convinced. "I need to know more about her involvement and anyone she may have interacted with recently. Any information you can provide could be crucial." Victor hesitated before reluctantly agreeing to provide some information. "I'll see what I can do, but be warned, Mr. Cross. The Circle is a dangerous place. People who get too close often find themselves in over their heads." With Victor's promise to provide more details, Cross began to explore Emily's connections within the Circle. He learned that Emily had been seen frequently with a man known only as the Dealer, This mysterious figure was rumored to be the mastermind behind many of the high-stakes games, manipulating outcomes and players alike. Cross's investigation led him to a series of underground venues where the Circle's games were held. Each location was carefully concealed, accessible only to those with the right connections. Cross had to navigate through a labyrinth of secrecy and deception to uncover the truth. One particular venue stood out, a luxurious but hidden casino known as the Enclave. The Enclave was a place where fortunes were won and lost in the blink of an eye, and it was rumored to be the domain of the dealer himself. Cross decided to visit the Enclave, hoping to find more information about Emily's involvement and the enigmatic figure behind the Circle. Upon arriving at the Enclave, Cross was struck by the opulence of the venue. The casino was a grand spectacle, with glittering lights, lavish decor, and an air of exclusivity. The patrons were dressed in their finest, their faces masked by an air of superiority and intrigue. Cross approached the entrance, where a well-dressed doorman scrutinized him with a critical eye. "Invitation only," the doorman said, his voice cold and unyielding. Cross flashed his badge. "I'm here on an investigation. I need to speak with someone about Emily Turner." The doorman hesitated but eventually allowed Cross inside. The atmosphere within the Enclave was charged with excitement and tension, and Cross could feel the weight of the secrets that lay hidden beneath the surface. He made his way to a private lounge, where he was met by a woman named Lydia Sinclair. Lydia was a high-ranking member of the Circle and had been closely associated with Emily Turner. She was known for her beauty and her sharp mind, but she also had a reputation for being ruthless and manipulative. "Mr. Cross," Lydia said with a cool smile, "I've heard about your investigation. What can I do for you?" "I'm looking for information about Emily Turner," Cross replied. "I need to know more about her involvement with the Circle and anyone she may have been in contact with recently." Lydia's smile faltered slightly, but she quickly regained her composure. "Emily was a regular here, but she kept her personal affairs private. I don't know much about her recent activities, but I can tell you that the Circle is a dangerous game. The stakes are high, and the players are even more dangerous." Cross pressed further, asking about the dealer and any connections Emily might have had. Lydia's responses were evasive, but Cross could sense that she knew more than she was letting on. As Cross continued his investigation, he began to uncover a pattern of deceit and manipulation. Emily's disappearance was part of a larger scheme orchestrated by the dealer, who used the Circle as a front for his illicit activities. The more Cross learned, the more it became clear that Emily was just one piece in a much larger and more dangerous puzzle. The investigation into Emily's disappearance was becoming increasingly complex, and Cross knew that he was dealing with a formidable adversary. The dealer's game was far from over, and the stakes were higher than ever. Cross had to navigate through a web of secrets and lies to uncover the truth and bring Emily home safely. As the investigation progressed, Cross faced mounting pressure from all sides. The media continued to scrutinize every development, while the dealer's operatives sought to undermine his efforts. Every decision Cross made was critical, and the risks were growing with each passing hour. Despite the challenges, Cross remained determined to solve the case. Emily's life was at stake, and he was committed to uncovering the truth behind her disappearance. The game was far from over, and Cross knew that he had to stay one step ahead of the dealer to find Emily and bring her home. Chapter 3: The Dealer's Trap. Alex Cross stood on the threshold of a new lead, feeling the weight of Emily Turner's disappearance pressing heavily on his shoulders. With every clue he unearthed, the mystery seemed to deepen, and the elusive figure known as the dealer remained shrouded in secrecy. The stakes were growing higher, and Cross knew that the investigation was about to take a dangerous turn. The Enclave had provided Cross with a few leads, though they were wrapped in layers of deceit. Lydia Sinclair's vague hints about the dealer's operations were enough to push Cross in a new direction. He decided to focus on the patterns emerging from the high-stakes gambling ring and the enigmatic figure behind it all. His next step led him to a discreet but high-profile charity auction, where the city's elite gathered for an evening of opulence and excess. The auction was organized by a wealthy philanthropist named Charles Westbrook, whose name had been linked to several high-profile events and individuals within the circle. Cross suspected that this event might provide a critical piece of the puzzle. The venue for the auction was an extravagant mansion on the Upper East Side, a place where the elite rubbed shoulders and business deals were made behind closed doors. Cross arrived early, blending in with the crowd of well-dressed patrons. The mansion was a marvel of luxury, with grand chandeliers, marble floors, and opulent decor. As he mingled with the guests, Cross kept a keen eye on the interactions and conversations taking place. He spotted several familiar faces from the circle, including Lydia Sinclair, who was engaged in a hushed conversation with Charles Westbrook. The conversation appeared tense, and Cross knew that something significant was being discussed. Cross approached a bartender and discreetly asked about the high-profile guests at the event. The bartender, eager to please, mentioned that Westbrook was known for his connections to influential figures, including those involved in clandestine operations. The information was intriguing, and Cross realized that Westbrook's connections could provide valuable insights into the dealer's network. As the auction progressed, Cross observed the interactions between the guests. There was a palpable sense of competition and secrecy, with everyone trying to outbid each other for exclusive items and experiences. Cross noted that several items on auction were not just luxurious, but also seemed to have connections to the circle's activities. One item in particular caught Cross's attention: a rare, antique locket that was said to have a hidden compartment. The locket was described as having historical significance, but its value seemed to be far beyond its apparent worth. Cross suspected that the locket might be linked to Emily Turner's disappearance and decided to investigate further. When the locket came up for auction, Cross watched as the bids escalated. Charles Westbrook was among the high bidders, and Cross could see the intensity in his eyes. The auctioneer's gavel struck, and Westbrook won the locket, adding it to his collection of prized possessions. Cross approached Westbrook after the auction, using his credentials to gain a brief audience. "Mr. Westbrook," Cross said, "I understand that you've acquired a rare locket tonight. I'm investigating Emily Turner's disappearance, and I believe that locket might be connected to her case." Westbrook's demeanor shifted from casual to guarded. "I'm not sure what you're implying, Mr. Cross. The locket is a piece of history, nothing more." Cross pressed further, noting Westbrook's discomfort. "I've heard that you have connections to the circle and other high-profile individuals. Any information you could provide would be helpful." Westbrook's face hardened. "I suggest you focus on your investigation and leave the matters of the elite to us. The locket is a private matter." With that, Westbrook dismissed Cross, and the conversation ended abruptly. Cross felt a sense of unease. Westbrook's reaction suggested that there was more to the locket than met the eye, and it was likely connected to the dealer's scheme. Cross decided to take a closer look at the locket. He managed to secure an invitation to Westbrook's mansion, where the locket was being displayed among other valuable items. His plan was to investigate the locket further, hoping to uncover any hidden clues that might lead him to Emily Turner. Upon arriving at Westbrook's mansion, Cross was greeted by the opulence of the surroundings. The mansion was a reflection of Westbrook's wealth and power, with lavish furnishings and artwork adorning the walls. Cross was escorted to the private wing where Westbrook kept his collection. As he examined the locket, Cross noticed that it had an intricate design, with subtle engravings that seemed to hold hidden meaning. He used a magnifying glass to inspect the locket closely, hoping to find any hidden compartments or messages. The locket's craftsmanship was exquisite, and Cross realized that it was more than just a decorative piece. In a moment of insight, Cross discovered a small, concealed compartment within the locket. Inside, he found a rolled-up piece of paper. With careful precision, he unrolled the paper and found a cryptic message. "The game is set. Make your move." The message was a clear indication that the dealer was orchestrating a larger scheme, using the locket as a tool in his game. Cross knew that the message was a clue, a signal that the next move was crucial in the investigation. The locket was not just a valuable item but a key to understanding the dealer's plan. Cross had to act quickly. He returned to his office and began to analyze the message and the locket's design. The cryptic nature of the message suggested that there were more layers to uncover, and he needed to stay one step ahead of the dealer to solve the case. The investigation into Emily Turner's disappearance was becoming increasingly complex. Cross faced mounting pressure from all sides, and the risks were growing with each passing hour. The dealer's game was far from over, and Cross knew that he had to unravel the mystery before it was too late. The locket, with its hidden message, was a crucial piece of the puzzle. Cross's next steps would be critical in uncovering the truth behind Emily's disappearance and exposing the dealer's sinister plans. Chapter 4. The Web of Deceit. The locket had provided Alex Cross with a significant clue, but it also led him to a more complex and dangerous web of deceit. The cryptic message within the locket, "The game is set. Make your move," suggested that the dealer was orchestrating a series of events, and Cross needed to navigate through this labyrinth to find Emily Turner. The next step in Cross's investigation was to decipher the meaning behind the message. He realized that the phrase, "the game is set," implied that the dealer had already established the conditions for his plan. Cross needed to understand the context of this game and how it related to Emily's disappearance. Cross's research led him to the world of high-stakes gambling, where he discovered that the circle was not just a gambling ring but a front for a more sinister operation. The games organized by the dealer were designed to manipulate and control participants, using psychological tactics and high stakes to bend individuals to his will. Cross began to look into the lives of other high-profile individuals connected to the circle. He focused on their activities and connections, hoping to uncover any links that might lead him to Emily. One particular individual caught his attention: Rebecca Jameson, a well-known socialite with ties to the circle and a reputation for her involvement in exclusive events and high-stakes games. Rebecca Jameson was known for her charm and influence, but she also had a reputation for being ruthless and manipulative. Cross suspected that she might have valuable information about the dealer and Emily Turner's disappearance. He decided to approach her and see if she could provide any insights into the case. Cross attended a high-profile charity gala where Rebecca was expected to make an appearance. The gala was a grand affair, held in one of the city's most luxurious venues. The atmosphere was filled with excitement and anticipation, with guests mingling and discussing their latest achievements. Cross arrived early, blending in with the crowd and keeping an eye out for Rebecca. He spotted her across the room, engaging in conversation with other influential guests. Rebecca was dressed in an elegant gown, exuding an air of sophistication and confidence. Cross approached her with a polite smile. "Ms. Jameson, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Alex Cross, and I'm investigating Emily Turner's disappearance. I understand that you have connections to the circle and might be able to provide some insight into the case." Rebecca's eyes narrowed as she assessed Cross. "Emily Turner? I've heard of her, but I'm afraid I don't know much about her involvement with the circle. My connections are more with the social side of things." Cross pressed on, trying to gauge her level of involvement. "I've learned that the circle is involved in more than just gambling. I believe that Emily's disappearance might be linked to a larger operation. Any information you could provide would be helpful." Rebecca's demeanor shifted, and she became more guarded. "I'm afraid I can't be of much help. The circle operates in its own way, and I try to stay out of its more dubious activities." Cross sensed that Rebecca was holding back information. He decided to change his approach, focusing on her connections and recent activities. He learned that Rebecca had been involved in several high-stakes games and exclusive events, some of which had connections to the dealer. Cross continued his investigation into Rebecca's activities, discovering that she had recently hosted a private event at a secluded estate on Long Island. The event was described as a high-profile gathering, attended by influential individuals and shrouded in secrecy. Determined to find out more, Cross arranged a visit to the estate. The estate was a grand mansion set on sprawling grounds, surrounded by dense woods and high fences. Cross's presence was discreet, as he approached the estate under the cover of darkness. The mansion was illuminated by soft lighting, casting long shadows across the grounds. Cross carefully made his way to a vantage point where he could observe the activities taking place inside. Through a partially open window, he could see a group of guests engaged in what appeared to be a high-stakes game. The game was intense, with participants betting large sums of money and displaying a range of emotions from excitement to desperation. Cross noticed that Rebecca was overseeing the game, her presence commanding attention and respect. As the night wore on, Cross observed a pattern in the participants' behavior. There was a sense of unease and tension, and some of the players seemed to be under significant pressure. Cross suspected that the game was more than just a test of luck and skill. It was a means of control and manipulation. After the event concluded, Cross gained access to the estate's grounds and searched for any clues that might be connected to Emily Turner. He found a hidden room in the mansion, filled with documents and items related to the Circle's operations. Among the documents, Cross discovered records of recent high-stakes games and correspondence with various individuals. One document in particular caught Cross's attention: a list of names and transactions that seemed to be linked to the dealer's activities. The list included several high-profile figures, some of whom had been involved in the gambling ring and others who had connections to influential organizations. Cross realized that the list was a crucial piece of evidence, revealing the extent of the dealer's network and the individuals who were part of his scheme. The document provided a roadmap to understanding the connections between the Circle and Emily Turner's disappearance. With this new information, Cross knew that he was getting closer to unraveling the mystery. The web of deceit was becoming clearer, and he was determined to follow the trail to its source. The investigation was far from over, and Cross faced a growing sense of urgency as he pursued the truth behind Emily's disappearance and the dealer's plans. Chapter 5: The Hidden Agenda. With the list of names and transactions from Rebecca Jameson's estate in hand, Alex Cross felt a surge of determination. The document revealed a tangled web of connections, and he knew that each name represented a potential lead in the investigation. The dealer's operations were more extensive and complex than Cross had anticipated, and he needed to unravel this network to find Emily Turner. Cross spent the following days poring over the list, cross-referencing the names with known associates of the Circle and other influential figures. The connections were intricate, spanning various sectors from finance to politics. He identified a pattern that suggested a hidden agenda behind the dealer's operations, an agenda that went beyond mere gambling. One name on the list stood out: Victor Caldwell, a prominent financial advisor with ties to several high-profile clients and organizations. Caldwell's name was associated with substantial financial transactions, some of which were linked to the Circle's gambling ring. Cross suspected that Caldwell might hold critical information about the dealer's scheme. Cross arranged to meet Victor Caldwell under the pretense of discussing a financial matter. Caldwell was known for his discretion and influence, and Cross knew that gaining his trust would be a delicate task. He set up a meeting at a luxurious financial firm's office, a place where Caldwell was a key figure. Upon arriving at the office, Cross was struck by the opulence of the surroundings. The office was a showcase of wealth, with sleek furniture and modern artwork adorning the walls. Caldwell greeted Cross with a warm smile, exuding an air of confidence and professionalism. "Mr. Caldwell," Cross said, extending a hand, "thank you for meeting with me. I'm Alex Cross, and I'm investigating some financial irregularities connected to a high-profile gambling ring. Your name has come up in my research, and I'd like to discuss it further." Caldwell's demeanor remained polite but guarded. "I see. Financial matters can often be complex. How can I assist you?" Cross began the conversation by discussing general financial topics, slowly steering the discussion towards the Circle and its activities. He mentioned the list of transactions and sought Caldwell's expertise in understanding the financial implications. Caldwell listened intently, occasionally nodding as Cross spoke. "The financial world is indeed full of intricacies," Caldwell said. "However, I must stress that my involvement is strictly professional. I deal with many clients, and their private matters are not my concern." Cross could sense that Caldwell was being evasive. He decided to take a more direct approach. "I've come across some connections between your financial dealings and the Circle. I believe that there might be more to your involvement than you're letting on. Any information you could provide would be invaluable." Caldwell's expression hardened. "I'm afraid I can't divulge any information that might compromise my client's privacy. If you have concerns, you should address them through the proper legal channels." Cross realized that Caldwell was unlikely to reveal anything substantial during their meeting. However, he had managed to gather some insights into Caldwell's character and the nature of his involvement. Cross knew that he would need to find other ways to obtain more information. After the meeting, Cross continued his investigation into Caldwell's financial dealings. He discovered that Caldwell had been involved in several high-stakes transactions with shell companies and offshore accounts. These transactions were consistent with money laundering and other illicit activities. Cross also learned that Caldwell was connected to a series of secretive meetings and events, many of which were held at private clubs and secluded locations. These gatherings often included influential figures from various sectors, and Cross suspected that they were part of the dealer's broader network. One particular event caught Cross's attention: a private conference hosted by Caldwell at an exclusive club in the city. The conference was described as a high-level financial seminar, but the guest list included several individuals with known connections to the Circle. Cross decided to attend the conference, hoping to gather more information about Caldwell's activities and his connections to the dealer. The conference was held at a prestigious club, known for its discretion and exclusivity. Cross managed to secure an invitation by using his credentials and background in financial investigations. The conference was a showcase of opulence, with luxurious amenities and an atmosphere of wealth and influence. Cross mingled with the attendees, observing their interactions and conversations. He noticed that the atmosphere was one of competition and secrecy, with attendees carefully guarding their information. As the conference progressed, Cross spotted several familiar faces from the Circle, including Lydia Sinclair and Rebecca Jameson. Their presence at the event confirmed Cross's suspicions that Caldwell's connections were integral to the dealer's operations. During a break in the conference, Cross approached Lydia Sinclair and engaged her in conversation. "Ms. Sinclair, it's good to see you here. I'm investigating a matter related to the Circle, and I believe that this conference might provide some valuable insights." Lydia's expression remained neutral. "Mr. Cross, I'm not sure what you're referring to. This is a financial seminar, and we're here to discuss legitimate business matters." Cross pressed on, hoping to glean more information. "I've noticed several connections between the attendees and the Circle. I believe that there might be more to these meetings than meets the eye." Lydia's demeanor shifted, and she became more guarded. "If you have concerns, you should address them with the proper authorities. This is a private event, and I'd prefer not to discuss any potential issues here." Cross realized that Lydia was unwilling to provide any direct information. He decided to continue his investigation discreetly, focusing on the connections and activities observed during the conference. As the conference concluded, Cross reviewed his notes and the information gathered. The event had provided valuable insights into Caldwell's network and the extent of the dealer's operations. Cross knew that he was getting closer to understanding the full scope of the scheme and needed to remain vigilant in his pursuit of the truth. The investigation into Emily Turner's disappearance was becoming increasingly complex. Cross faced numerous challenges and obstacles, but he was determined to uncover the truth and bring those responsible to justice. The web of deceit was intricate, but Cross was committed to navigating through it and exposing the dealer's hidden agenda. Chapter 6: The Unseen Enemy. As Alex Cross delved deeper into the world of high-stakes finance and illicit gambling, he began to sense the presence of a more insidious and powerful force operating behind the scenes. The dealer's network was vast and intricate, and Cross knew that he was up against an unseen enemy with far-reaching influence. Cross decided to shift his focus to the underground aspects of the circle's operations. He started to investigate the less visible elements of the organization, such as its enforcers and intermediaries. These were the individuals who operated in the shadows, carrying out the dealer's orders and maintaining control over the various aspects of the gambling ring. His investigation led him to a series of clandestine meetings and secret gatherings held in hidden locations throughout the city. One of these locations was a dimly lit warehouse on the outskirts of town, known for its connections to organized crime and illegal activities. Cross had heard rumors that the warehouse was a hub for the Circle's enforcers and a place where crucial decisions were made. Determined to uncover the truth, Cross decided to stake out the warehouse. He arrived late at night, using his experience as a detective to blend in with the surroundings. The warehouse was surrounded by a high fence and security cameras, but Cross managed to find a vantage point where he could observe the activity inside. From his position, Cross could see a group of individuals gathered around a large table in the center of the warehouse. They were engaged in a heated discussion, their voices low and urgent. Cross recognized some of the individuals from his research, men with ties to organized crime and known associates of the Circle. As he listened in, Cross heard snippets of their conversation. They spoke of recent operations, financial transactions, and the ongoing search for Emily Turner. The discussion revealed that the dealer's network was not only focused on gambling but also involved in other criminal activities, including extortion and manipulation. One name stood out during the conversation: Lucas Kane, a notorious enforcer known for his ruthlessness and connections to the Circle. Kane was reputed to be the dealer's right-hand man, responsible for carrying out the more violent and coercive aspects of the organization's operations. Cross knew that finding Lucas Kane could provide a crucial lead in the investigation. Kane was a dangerous individual, but he might hold valuable information about the dealer and Emily Turner's whereabouts. Cross needed to tread carefully and gather more information before taking any action. The following day, Cross continued his investigation into Lucas Kane. He discovered that Kane had recently been involved in a series of high-profile disputes and confrontations. Kane's aggressive tactics and reputation for violence made him a prominent figure in the criminal underworld, and Cross realized that he needed to approach this lead with caution. Cross learned that Kane frequented a number of exclusive clubs and underground venues, where he mingled with other influential figures in the criminal world. One such venue was a high-end nightclub known for its secrecy and connections to organized crime. Cross decided to visit the nightclub, hoping to gather more information about Kane's activities. The nightclub was a luxurious establishment, with an air of sophistication and exclusivity. Cross managed to gain entry by posing as a high-profile guest, blending in with the crowd. He observed the patrons and their interactions, searching for any sign of Lucas Kane. After spending some time in the nightclub, Cross finally spotted Kane in a secluded corner of the venue. Kane was accompanied by several bodyguards and was engaged in a conversation with a group of individuals. The conversation was low-key, but Kane's presence was commanding, and he appeared to be in control of the situation. Cross decided to approach Kane discreetly, using his skills as a detective to blend in with the surroundings. He listened in on the conversation, hoping to glean any information that might be relevant to the investigation. Kane's discussion centered around recent operations and plans, but it was clear that he was wary of any potential threats. Cross noticed that Kane frequently checked his phone and communicated with someone through encrypted messages. This behavior suggested that Kane was receiving instructions or updates from the dealer. Cross realized that gaining access to Kane's communications could provide a significant breakthrough in the investigation. As the night progressed, Cross continued to observe Kane and his associates. He noted their movements and interactions, carefully planning his next steps. He knew that confronting Kane directly would be dangerous, so he needed to gather as much information as possible before taking any action. The following day, Cross continued his efforts to track down Lucas Kane. He used the information gathered from the nightclub and the previous night's meeting to narrow down Kane's possible locations. Cross also reached out to his contacts in law enforcement, seeking assistance in locating Kane and building a case against him. Cross's investigation revealed that Kane was planning a meeting with other high-profile figures from the circle. The meeting was scheduled to take place at a private estate, known for its secrecy and high-security measures. Cross decided to attend the meeting, hoping to gather more information about the dealer and Emily Turner's whereabouts. Cross approached the estate under the cover of darkness, using his skills to bypass security and gain entry. The estate was a sprawling mansion with extensive grounds, and Cross carefully navigated the property to avoid detection. He reached a vantage point where he could observe the meeting and listen in on the discussions. The meeting was held in a lavishly decorated room, with several individuals gathered around a large table. Cross recognized some of the attendees from his research, including Lucas Kane and other key figures associated with the circle. The conversation centered around recent developments and plans for future operations. Cross listened intently, noting the key details of their discussions. The meeting revealed that the circle was planning a series of high-stakes operations and had set its sights on new targets. The discussion also included updates on Emily Turner's situation, with the dealer's network working to maintain control and prevent her from escaping. Cross's presence remained undetected as he gathered valuable information about the circle's plans and operations. The meeting provided crucial insights into the inner workings of the dealer's network and highlighted the extent of their influence and control. As the meeting concluded, Cross made his way out of the estate, feeling a sense of urgency and determination. The investigation had revealed important details about the dealer's operations, but there was still much work to be done. Cross knew that he needed to continue pursuing leads and gathering evidence to bring those responsible for Emily Turner's disappearance to justice. Chapter 7. The Final Confrontation. As Alex Cross pieced together the final elements of his investigation, he realized that he was closing in on a pivotal moment in his quest for justice. The intricate web of deceit woven by the dealer and the circle was beginning to unravel, revealing the true scale of their operations. Cross's determination to rescue Emily Turner and dismantle the circle's network had reached a critical point. With the information gathered from Lucas Kane's meeting and the insights into the circle's plans, Cross formulated a strategy for a final confrontation. He knew that this would be a dangerous and decisive operation, and he needed to be prepared for any eventuality. The time had come to take decisive action and confront the dealer directly. Cross's investigation had revealed that the dealer's headquarters was located in a heavily fortified building on the outskirts of the city. The building was surrounded by high fences, security cameras, and armed guards, making it a formidable fortress. Cross knew that gaining entry would be a significant challenge, but he was determined to see the mission through. To execute his plan, Cross assembled a team of trusted allies, including members of law enforcement and former colleagues who had expertise in tactical operations. Together, they developed a detailed plan to infiltrate the building, neutralize the security measures, and apprehend the dealer. The team's approach was methodical and precise. They conducted a thorough reconnaissance of the building, identifying key entry points, security vulnerabilities, and potential escape routes. Cross and his team used this information to devise a strategy that would minimize risk and maximize their chances of success. The operation was scheduled to take place during the early hours of the morning when security was at its lowest. Cross and his team executed their plan with military precision, using specialized equipment to bypass security systems and gain access to the building. Once inside, the team moved swiftly through the corridors, neutralizing guards and avoiding detection. The building was a labyrinth of rooms and passageways, but Cross's knowledge of the circle's operations guided them toward their objective. As they approached the central command room, where the dealer was believed to be located, Cross could feel the tension in the air. The final confrontation was imminent, and he was prepared for whatever awaited them. Cross and his team breached the command room, encountering a group of high-ranking members of the Circle. The room was filled with monitors displaying live feeds from various locations, including the surveillance of Emily Turner. The dealer, a shadowy figure whose identity had remained a mystery, stood at the center of the room, surrounded by his associates. Alex Cross. The dealer's voice echoed through the room, cold and calculated. "I've been expecting you. You're too late to stop what's already been set in motion." Cross's gaze locked onto the dealer, his resolve unshaken. "It's over, the dealer. Your operation ends here. Release Emily Turner and surrender now." The dealer's expression remained inscrutable as he glanced at his associates. "You underestimate the reach and power of the Circle. You've only scratched the surface of what we're capable of. I suggest you leave now before things get worse." The tension in the room escalated as the dealer's associates prepared to take action. Cross and his team were outnumbered, but they were well prepared for the confrontation. A fierce exchange of gunfire ensued, and the room was filled with the sounds of conflict. Cross moved with precision, directing his team and neutralizing threats as they advanced toward the dealer. The battle was intense, but Cross's determination to rescue Emily Turner and bring justice to those responsible drove him forward. Amidst the chaos, Cross spotted Emily Turner in a corner of the room, bound and unconscious. His heart raced as he made his way toward her, his focus on ensuring her safety. With the help of his team, Cross managed to free Emily and secure her safety. As the confrontation reached its climax, the dealer and his remaining associates were apprehended by law enforcement. The operation had been successful, but the cost of the battle was evident. The building was left in disarray, and the aftermath of the confrontation left a sense of both relief and exhaustion. Emily Turner was taken to safety and received medical attention, and Cross ensured that she was cared for and protected. The dealer and his associates were taken into custody, their criminal activities brought to light and subjected to the full extent of the law. With the mission accomplished, Cross reflected on the journey that had led him to this moment. The investigation had been fraught with challenges and danger, but his commitment to justice and the pursuit of truth had prevailed. The Circle's operations had been dismantled, and the individuals responsible for Emily Turner's disappearance had been brought to justice. Cross knew that there would be more challenges ahead, but he was ready to face them with unwavering resolve. The final confrontation had marked the end of a chapter in his pursuit of justice, but it also signaled the beginning of a new chapter in his ongoing quest to protect and serve. The end. If you enjoyed our story, subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications.